A brand new £1 million battery-powered locomotive that weighs a massive 80 tons.
We're the only manufacturer in the world that actually designs and makes locomotives from 1 3/4 tons up to 150 tons.
Can a team haul this Goliath without scratching its pristine paintwork?
You got nothing left?
And a Class 20 locomotive that needs moving 120 miles.
We got an SOS telephone call. It needs to get there quickly.
Can the team hit an urgent next-day delivery deadline? These teams must battle rush hour traffic, terrifyingly tight turns,
Can you change your lock and go back a bit?
and heavy metal to deliver these million-pound machines on time. A titanic task, even for the world's toughest train truckers. The banks of an 18th century reservoir in Staffordshire are home to the Chasewater Railway and their collection of vintage locomotives. This museum houses a vast array of railway memorabilia. It includes a collection of steam and diesel industrial locomotives and Victorian rolling stock.
The Chasewater Railway is a heritage railway. We run heritage steam and heritage diesel, mainly on a Saturday and Sunday. We run for 2 miles that way and 2 miles back. On average, on a good year, we can move 65, 70,000 people. Got about 10 steam locos on site.
The 2-mile track was originally designed by the National Coal Board as part of a nationwide network to service the local coal mines and workers, but fell idle when the mines closed. As well as being a tourist attraction, the facilities here also serve a more practical purpose.
The brand new engines are tested here because it means that they're off the national network, they get free rein to do their testing, and we're able to offer great facilities for that. Testing's great because it does help us bringing in a bit of money, especially being a charity. And then on top of that, it helps raise the profile of the railway, hopefully bringing in more visitors in the future.
The engineering team at Chasewater Railway is gearing up to put a brand new locomotive through a rigorous testing regime. It's an engine that symbolises the very future of railway engines, the CBD-8T battery-powered locomotive. Dating from the late 19th century, electrically powered locomotives were developed to be used where a diesel or steam locomotive would be unsuitable. In industrial facilities with a high risk of explosions or air contamination with toxic fumes, an electric locomotive greatly reduces the chances of combustion. And urban underground railway networks rely on battery-powered locomotives to carry out repairs when the main electrical supply has been turned off. The CBD-8T is the latest in a long line of electrical locomotives. Weighing a massive 80 tons and costing a cool £1 million, its lack of polluting diesel emissions makes it one of the most environmentally friendly engines around. The engines are made here, at the Clayton Equipment Limited factory in Burton-upon-Trent. Founded in 1931, the company specialises in the manufacture of industrial locomotives, used to shunt trains and construct tunnels, and they send engines around the world.
We're the only manufacturer in the world that actually designs and makes locomotives from 1 3/4 tons up to 150 tons. Well, the first batch of locomotives was in 1940, in World War II, for the Ministry of Defence. It's gone full circle because the latest emissions requirements have pushed diesel out, and people are looking for low-maintenance, zero-emission, low-cost solutions. Some of the locos that are operating in the UK are 60, 70 years old. They're end of life. They need to be replaced. So they're looking to replace them with zero-emission solutions. Batteries have a finite life, and they need to be replaced when done, but so do diesel engines. The batteries we use are 99% recyclable. From a blank piece of paper to a locomotive going out the door, we can do a large locomotive in about 9 months.
Before this £1 million electric locomotive can be handed over to its new owners, it has to be put through a range of track tests at Chasewater, which calls for one very special haulage team. Family-run firm Allaley's
Heavy Haulage
are experts at the challenging task of moving heavyweight railway locomotives. Founded in the 1950s by Maurice Allaley, the business has grown from a small agricultural mover to become one of the trusted names in the heavy haulage industry.
We can move anything.
Massive abnormal loads, enormous steel girders, and super long lengths of pipe, as well as locomotives of all shapes and sizes, are all in a day's work for this team.
Moving trains is a very specialist industry, and we're one of the few companies within the UK that can actually move these big trains and locomotives.
Nobody expects to see a loco on the back of a lorry. There's never a day when you see it where it's not impressive.
And today, the crew need to be at the very top of their game.
No problem.
The team need to haul the CBD-80 battery-powered locomotive 20 miles from the factory to the Chasewater Railway in Staffordshire. Whilst it's not the longest journey they've ever undertaken and is mainly on major roads, as they near the finish line, there is an obstacle that will take all their skill and experience to overcome. As they approach the museum site, they must take a sharp right-hand turn onto a narrow dirt track. Once there, the locomotive will undergo many tests before being handed over to its new owners. It's Friday morning. At the wheel today is one of Allaley's most experienced drivers, Ian Baglady, and the first challenge is to carefully navigate the 21-metre trailer into the factory's yard. Assisting Ian in this tricky operation, Luke Beeman.
Come in and hold it there, mate. Whoa.
As Ian carefully lines up the truck, Luke uses remote control to steer the rear axles.
You need to be further over your side, really. I'm struggling to get in here now.
With 6 fixed axles, this manoeuvre would be impossible.
You only got a bit of room, keep coming in and hold it there.
But for Luke and Ian, it's job done. To load the locomotive onto the trailer, the team must build a ramp down to the ground. The rails must line up exactly. Any slight misalignment could cause the locomotive to derail, with disastrous results.
Forwards, let's go for it, move it.
The team carefully inch the engine out of the factory.
You go back there, Luke. When I say stop, stop him.
£1 million worth of brand new locomotive slowly drives up onto the trailer. There's no room for error, and it's not a job for the faint-hearted.
He'll tell you to stop.
Okay.
The engine must leave the factory in unspoiled showroom condition. Ian keeps a close eye on the pristine paintwork, whilst the operator in the locomotive keeps a very steady hand on the power.
Okay.
Beautiful. Well done, Mark.
After a nerve-shredding manoeuvre, that's one very relieved driver.
Good chain. Get a couple of chains on them.
Ian uses chains to secure the engine to the bed of the trailer. These machines were not designed to be transported by road, so any unexpected movement on the journey could damage the internal electrical systems. With third man Chris in the all-important escort vehicle, it's time for Ian and Luke to set off for Chasewater.
Here we go, Chris.
Yeah, I've got you right.
They hit the road at 10 a.m. It may not be the longest of journeys, but the early start for Luke is taking its toll.
Are you not awake yet today? Are you struggling?
The 20-mile journey from Burton to Chasewater in Brownhill, Staffordshire, is mainly along dual carriageways and takes less than an hour. 50 minutes later, as the crew approach the site entrance, they realize it's going to be anything but straightforward.
Not sure what we've got to do here, Chris, whether we've got to drive in, reversing or what, so I'll have to park up.
With the precious cargo just meters short of their destination, Ian and Luke need to pull over and investigate how they can maneuver the massive trailer into the entrance of the railway. Turning across a busy main road onto the uneven, narrow, muddy lane will test Ian and the team to the limit. Heavy haulage driver Ian Bagladi is struggling to deliver this brand new 80-ton, £1 million battery-powered locomotive for a series of crucial tests at the Chasewater Railway in Staffordshire. So far, the team has had a smooth 20-mile journey from Burton-upon-Trent to the drop-off point, but they now face a very sharp right-hand turn.
Very tight.
Taking the 21-meter-long trailer across the main road down an uneven track isn't going to be easy.
Yeah, Chris?
Yes, eh?
Yeah, we're going to come backwards, mate. We're going to drive in. I don't know whether it's going to be easy to drive in from this side or the other side. Well, I'll come back then.
Yeah, go on there, you're all right.
To navigate this turn, the team must make full use of the trailer's independently steerable rear axles. They must turn all the wheels, left, right, then left again, to navigate the engine through this challenging cornering. As Ian gently inches forward up the track, the wheels of the trailer swing round, steered by the remote control unit at the rear, each set of axles now independently turning, moving the trailer through 90 nerve-tensing degrees.
Keep going, mate. You're all clear.
Until the trailer is perfectly lined up behind the cab. They progress down the bumpy lane at a snail's pace. But as they near the end of the lane, they run into trouble. Old track equipment blocks the path for them to turn into the railway's yard.
Can you change your lock and go back a bit?
Even with the 6 steerable rear axles, the trailer is going nowhere. Unable to move forwards or backwards, the trailer is stranded. "35 miles northeast, in a rail yard at the edge of Derby Mainline Station, is another unique engine that needs transporting across the country. This is a Class 20 Type 1 diesel-electric locomotive, number 20142, the Sir John Betjeman Resplendent in London Metropolitan livery. This class of locomotive was first introduced to service in 1957. Almost 230 were built until they were discontinued in 1968. Weighing 73 tons and with a top speed of 75 miles per hour, they were the workhorses of the network, primarily used to haul light freight trains and occasionally passengers. And this beautiful locomotive is headed to one of the UK's most stunning heritage lines, the North Yorkshire Moors Railway. Based out of Pickering Railway Station, the North York Moors Railway employs over 100 full-time staff. The team keep their mix of heritage steam and diesel engines running a daily service for most of the year. Now a major attraction for train enthusiasts and tourists alike, their steam locomotives can make the 21-mile journey from Pickering to Whitby in a little under 2 hours. Today, the Class 20 needs transporting 116 miles to Pickering to replace an engine that is currently off the rails and in the workshop for servicing. Owner of the Class 20, Michael Owen, has arranged to rent the engine to the railway for 8 weeks.
The locomotive will go off today to their road rail offloading point at Newbridge, which is near Pickering. Hopefully they will do an acceptance exam, and once it's accepted it will go straight into service immediately. It needs to get there quickly. We got an SOS telephone call a couple of days ago. It had to go by road because the network couldn't accommodate it on the branch from Middlesbrough to Gromont.
Trusted with the job of moving this 73-ton loco today is Rick, who has been one of Allaley's top drivers for 4 years.
It should take us about 3.5 hours, I think, maybe 4. It all depends on traffic, you know. Yeah, we just need to get there tonight, really, and then I can hopefully have a tip tonight or tip in the morning, and then I can get back tomorrow, back to my house and for a round of golf.
Helping Rick today is one of the company's newest recruits, escort driver Harry.
There's a lot to learn. We're just trying to teach him slowly.
Rick needs to truck the locomotive 116 miles north from Derby to picturesque Pickering on the North York Moors. While the route is mainly along major roads, the abnormal sized load means he won't be able to travel during rush hour. To add to the pressure, the engine must arrive tonight. It's 10 a.m. But with a heritage railway in desperate need of a Class 20 to keep their schedules on the rails, and over 100 miles of English countryside between them, there's no sign of Rick or his heavy haulage truck in the yard at Derby to make this critical pickup.
Oh, hello, it's Michael Owen from Class 2189 Limited at Derby. Yeah, well, we are. We're getting a bit chilly waiting for your wagon.
There are strict rules about the length of breaks between trucking shifts, meaning Rick has had to have an enforced 11 hours away from the wheel before he starts this pickup.
Okay, so it's between 12 and 1 now?
I think between 12 and 1 is realistic, yeah.
Okay.
It's about 90 minutes from here.
Yes, it is.
So between 12 and 1 is absolutely.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Jamie.
Okay, thanks, Michael.
Thank you. Thanks.
Cheers.
Bye-bye. Bye. Disappointing.
It takes great skill to load and unload a hefty historic engine like this. If the team leave it too late, they'll be forced to deliver and offload it in the dark, which will make the challenge even more complex.
Well, they say the schedule will be adhered to, but they will tip it tonight or in the morning. So we're going to have a cup of tea.
With his rest break over, and a little over 3 hours behind schedule, Rick and his trailer finally roll in. With such a tight schedule, there is no time to waste.
But at least they're here, and now they're off unloading.
With the clock ticking, Rick's first task is to maneuver the 20-meter-long trailer into the yard and line it up with the track. Then, they must lower the entire trailer to create a flat platform. Rick must then drive the cab, which is equipped with a special winch unit, to the opposite end of the trailer. Only then can the tricky process of winching the 73-ton engine onto the trailer begin. With the trailer lowered, Rick must lay down temporary tracks to line up with the rails that the Class 20 is currently rolling on. The team must secure supports underneath the tracks to help them take the weight. If the blocks slip, there is a real risk that the engine could derail as they haul it onto the trailer. Under Rick's watchful eye, Harry slowly winches the engine up the ramp, into place on the trailer.
Right, hold it there a sec, Harry.
Harry may be learning on the job, but he still has the vital task of ensuring the engine stops in exactly the right spot. With the 73-ton Class 20 now loaded on the bed of the truck, and 3 hours behind schedule, Rick is finally ready to hit the road.
You ready to start moving, mate?
Yeah, man. Right, moving backwards.
To get there, he needs to reverse out of the yard.
Keep it coming.
Although the electric gates seem to have ideas of their own.
Just watch the gate shutting behind you. Just stand across it if you can.
Keep it coming. Keep it coming. Go through it. Keep it coming.
There's just one final check from Rick to make sure that the engine is securely chained to the truck.
Yeah, ready to go now. Ready to head off. We'll get going and see how far we get before rush, and then after that we'll get in there. I don't think we'll get tipped tonight, but we'll probably get tipped in the morning first thing.
They're finally on the road. On the outskirts of Derby, heavy haulage expert Rick and rookie escort driver Harry are delivering a 73-ton Class 20 locomotive 116 miles to Pickering, home to the North Yorkshire Moors Railway.
Keep it going. Keep it going.
The journey may be mainly motorway, but getting to the motorway isn't going to be easy.
Golf's just coming through and it's clear, mate. That's a great place to stop, isn't it?
Fucking idiots everywhere, innit?
Single-lane roads through busy towns weren't designed for these massive mechanical monsters.
Oh, mate, you're right, keep going.
Oh, this car stopped in front of me.
No worries. He's trying to get past you. Yeah, it's fine.
The team may be on a deadline, but that doesn't mean the essentials take second place.
I'm getting hungry, are you?
Yeah, I've got a sandwich with me, so I might have to have that in a minute.
Did the missus make it for you?
No, I bought it from the shop. She wouldn't make me a sandwich.
They pick up the pace on the motorway, but the late collection of the engine from the yard has put a massive dent in their already tight schedule.
Do you reckon we'll be unloading tonight or not?
We could at least probably set up tonight, but probably have to wait till the morning to unload it.
Yeah, not a problem.
2 hours into the journey, Rick has to make a crucial call to check about tonight's delivery at the North York Moors Railway Depot.
Hiya Martin, it's Rick from Alloys.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Yeah, not so bad.
Good. Right, we're on our way up with this Class 20.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not going to be able to turn around in that quarry, are we?
No. So you can back in through the gate and, you know, get clear of the road, and that's it until I move things.
All right.
You'll see in the morning, or whenever you get here, because we really are pulling up and stuff like.
The rail yard in Pickering is jammed full of locomotives that cannot be moved to make space for the Class 20 delivery today.
All right, I was hoping to try. I'm playing golf at just after Denise. I was hoping to try and get tipped and gone as early as I can. Right, okay. Well, we'll sort it anyway. We'll sort something.
Yeah. Well, what I aim to do as soon as I get there, I'll pull enough wagons out so you can get in.
Yeah.
And you can start sort of setting up, and then we'll get rid of one of the steam engines, which goes at 8:30, and then by the time they've had a shuffle round, you'll be set up and we'll get your loco off, hopefully.
Right, okay. No worries then.
Yeah.
No worries. All right. Cheers, Martin.
Yeah, right then.
Unable to offload the Class 20 tonight will cost Rick a night at home. And tomorrow they'll have to move a yard full of rolling stock just to get the trailer in. But there is one positive.
There is a good kebab shop in the town centre, so we're all right.
The Friday night rush hour traffic and some punishing hills could still make it a late dinner for Rick and his team tonight. At the Chasewater Railway in Staffordshire, expert haulage driver Ian Bagladi has made the 20-mile journey from Burton with the brand new battery-powered locomotive. It's being delivered here from the factory in Burton-upon-Trent to undertake final testing before being handed over to its new owners. It has only been a short journey by road, but one that has had a sting in its tail. A sharp 90-degree turn up an uneven, muddy track took all of Ian's years of experience to negotiate. And now, old machinery blocks the path ahead.
Back here. You got nothing left? I'll have to pin a wheel up then.
With the rear wheels at full lock, and now with no way forward, the engine is in limbo. The only way past the old machinery is by turning the truck hard to the left. Rick knows this will force the trailer sideways, and with this heavy load, it won't budge. But Rick has a secret weapon up his sleeve. Using a hydraulic mechanism, he can lift and lower any of the axles on the trailer. He plans to lift axle number 1 a couple of inches. To reduce friction with the road, he hopes that with less resistance to overcome, the truck can finally power through the last turn into the yard.
Just kick that out, that back end over a bit more into the dirt. Should just miss that, hopefully. Yeah, you're down now, mate.
Painstakingly slowly, the 21-meter-long load moves forward. With the truck now on site, they must line the trailer up with the tracks and prepare to offload this giant.
Keep going, keep going. Now get this.
In West Yorkshire, Rick is well into the almost 4-hour drive, pulling the Class 20 locomotive behind him.
Well, you're right, it's not too bad when we get up there. We might have a barbecue if you want.
The 116-mile route from Derby to the North Yorkshire Moors Railway Yard in Pickering has been mainly along wide-open roads. Relatively straightforward for a driver like Rick, with all his years of experience. But with a load weighing in at 80 tons, the Yorkshire hills make for slow going.
If you was in a normal car, you just wouldn't expect that it was like a hill there. But when you've got that thing on the back, it's at 20 mile an hour.
Yeah, you really quickly learn where all the hills are in the in the country when you're driving this sort of stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You'll see another big hill when we get to the A64 a bit later. We'll be down to about 5 miles an hour up there.
Oh well, that sounds absolutely beautiful.
If the sluggish progress up steep gradients wasn't tough enough, to make this challenge even more difficult, Rick is battling both the clock and rush hour traffic. Supersized loads like this are restricted from travelling during the peak times of 5 p.m. to 7 p.m.
Yeah, I'm hoping by the time we get to West Yorkshire, we'll have missed the rush anyway. Touch wood, we don't have to stop then, hopefully.
But with a combination of a late start this morning and the speed sapping hills, Rick and Harry are soon forced to pull over and take a break.
We've had to stop on the way for rush hour, because you're not allowed to travel in between certain times. And also, I was quite hungry, I fancied something to eat. And we'll stop here and wait to rush hour to finish, and then we can carry on. Yeah, we'll make it on time. We'll be a bit late tonight, but we can't set up till tomorrow morning, so there's no massive rush to get. We've just got to make sure I get there in my driving time before that runs out. It will be a bit difficult in the dark because we are going out into the sort of the middle of nowhere. There's not really any street lights, narrow lanes, so going backwards in the dark is going to be a bit tricky, but we've got an escort van, keep an eye on things, and all should be well, touch wood.
At the Chasewater Railway Museum, driver Ian Bagladi is gearing up to unload the 80-ton battery-powered locomotive. With the trailer lined up with the rails, the team assemble the unloading ramp. The team must position the ramp at precisely the right angle. If the front of the ramp is too steep, the front of the engine could hit the rails and become damaged.
Okay, yeah? Go on then.
With the ramp in place, Ian's second-in-command, Luke, releases the winch to slowly let the engine down. It may only be moving at a snail's pace, but Ian isn't taking any chances.
It's a wedge just in case anything goes wrong and I want to stop it. I can just put it under the wheel and stop the train then.
Safely on the rails, all that is left is to unhook the winch and hand over the engine.
The red ones are on the back, so they should be going forward the other way.
So we all undone?
Yeah, all yours.
And of course, everything that has been built to unload has to be dismantled and put back on the trailer.
Tea break. Some diamond chat, bought a brew.
Only a 20-mile trek to get back to the yard. It should be a nice early finish for Ian and Luke. "145 miles northeast, and it's a different story for Rick and Harry. 9:30 p.m. With the rush hour over and 8 hours after they left Derby, they finally pull into Pickering with the Class 20 Loco. It's early morning in Pickering at the North Yorkshire Moors Railway Depot. Last night, Rick arrived with the Class 20 locomotive that they desperately need to keep their scheduled service running.
We got here last night, quite late on, after we reversed up the road from the village, parked up and went to sleep, and now we're up again, and we're gonna back onto the line once they've moved a few bit of the rolling stock about, so it gives us a bit of room, and then we're gonna unload it.
But before Rick can unload the engine, there's a lot of locomotive hardware that needs moving around.
It's a bit of a jigsaw puzzle. They've got to shift a few things about and shift the points and move them over to different roads, they call them, so we can get on and tip.
With everything finally cleared from the line that the Class 20 needs to run on,
Moving backwards.
the long-awaited offload can begin.
Keep it coming.
There's just enough room for Rick to reverse into position and line the trailer up with the rails.
How far back are you going?
Well, sort of as far back as we can almost, to be honest with you. It's a straight line if we go further back.
Yeah, no worries, mate.
Harry guides Rick slowly into position.
Keep it coming.
The rails on the trailer must line up exactly with the tracks on the ground. Even an inch out could cause the engine to derail as it moves down the ramp. Harry guides Rick to the drop zone.
Rail on here, rail on the trailer. Yeah, I'm just checking that the rail on the trailer is in line with the rail in the ground, basically.
Take it over to the passenger side of touch for us, mate. Hold it there. Touch more over, mate. Keep it going. Yeah, hold it there. Should do it, mate.
I don't. Just drop the back end down a little bit and drop the neck down.
Harry lowers the trailer.
Yeah, drop the stinger down now, then we'll pull out.
And disconnects the hydraulics. With the cab clear of the tracks, they can assemble the ramp.
Martin can get the shunter and a couple of barrier wagons and attach up to it and pull it away. We can't winch it down because we can't get behind it, there's not enough room, so we're just going to let it down with the shunter.
A slight curve in the track prevents Rick from slowly winching the engine down the ramp. So he calls in a small shunter engine and a barrier wagon to slowly pull it off the trailer.
Well, I don't think we'll reach. Oh no, this will work. Sorry, I didn't see that one.
With the rails in perfect alignment, the Class 20 smoothly rolls down to ground level.
Watch that there. Boring is good. It means it all went smoothly. Right, back the ramp away now.
It may not have been the most exciting Saturday morning for Rick and Harry, but for the North Yorkshire Moors Railway, the Class 20 they so desperately needed has arrived all in one piece and ready for service. Mission accomplished. At the Chasewater Railway in Staffordshire, hidden amongst their collection of heritage rolling stock, stands the brand new CBD-80 battery-powered locomotive, delivered in pristine condition straight from the factory by driver Ian Bagladi and the crew. Like many of the new and restored engines here, it will spend several weeks undergoing rigorous tests before being handed over to its new owners.
It's great seeing the new locos because they are the future, and it's great to be able to see where it's going and what the future holds.
We are type testing, which includes brakes, suspension, control, drivability, remote control, all the whole systems to make sure the loco works as intended. We make lots of different locomotives, so even though some will look very similar, they are in essence quite different depending on the customer's specification. So this one is a battery locomotive, and this customer's ordered a batch of 15, and this is the first one of its type to the customer's specification. We do more tests on the first one than we will do on the rest of the batch to make sure that we're happy with how it works, so when we deliver it to the customer, he's happy.
These being the locomotives of the future, the technology on board calls for very specialised technicians.
I'm in charge of finding all the faults in the circuits. With the Loco having over 2,000 wires, and in order for us to get it ready for the customer, we have to make sure all the wires are in the right places and all the circuits work.
Locomotives here have every single aspect of their operation put under the testing microscope. Laptops connected to the internal circuitry and controllers test everything from battery efficiency to speed and braking. When an engine pulls up to 1,000 tons, nothing can be left to chance.
Testing's gone brilliant today. Bit cold, but we've ticked off all those things we needed to do. A few more little things that we'll finish tomorrow, and we're good to go.
It may all be high-tech testing here, but there is one job that does sound like a lot of fun.
I'm just checking the sound level of the horn to make sure that it's loud enough for the standard.
With everything down to the smallest detail tested, the engine can safely head off into service.
And there's another new and exclusive road trip for the train truckers next Thursday evening at 9 here on Yesterday. Put more miles on your auctioneering clock with your nightly 10 p.m. dose of bangers and cash next, though.